The morning mist clung to the pines like a whispered secret, draping the tiny mountain town of Crestwood, Colorado, in a veil of quiet. Crestwood was the kind of place where time seemed to pause, where the same faces nodded at each other over coffee at the diner, and the world beyond the jagged ridges felt like a distant rumor. Tucked at the edge of town, where the asphalt gave way to gravel and weeds, stood Harper's Auto Haven, a weathered garage with a tin roof that rattled in the wind. The hand-painted sign was so faded it was barely legible, but locals knew it by heart. Inside, the air carried the sharp tang of motor oil, the faint hum of a classic rock radio, and a silence that belonged to Jack Harper. Jack Harper, 47, was a man who'd traded dreams for solitude. His hands, calloused and stained with grease, moved with precision over the engine of a battered '89 Chevy. His hazel eyes, shadowed by years of sleepless nights, rarely met anyone else's. Once a paramedic in Boulder, Jack had carried the weight of lives he couldn't save. A car wreck, a young boy trapped, screams that still woke him in the dark. The guilt had driven him back to Crestwood, to the garage he'd inherited from his father. Here, he could hide behind spark plugs and wrenches, where the world didn't ask for more than he could give. This morning, like every other, he tightened a bolt. The rhythm of his work a steady anchor against the ache in his chest. A soft crunch of gravel broke his focus. Jack froze, frowning. Customers didn't walk here, especially not at dawn. Wiping his hands on a rag, he stepped outside, squinting into the fog. There, at the edge of the lot, stood a girl, no older than 8, her thin frame swallowed by a dirt-streaked hoodie. Her auburn hair was a tangled mess, her bare feet red from the cold, and her green eyes, wide, unblinking, held a mix of fear and defiance. Jack's heart stuttered. She looked like she'd walked out of a storm, fragile but unbroken. "Hey, kid," he said, his voice low, careful not to spook her. "You king name. Sir, you okay?" She didn't answer, just stared. Her small hands clenched at her sides. Jack knelt, keeping his distance. "I'm Jack. This is my garage. Safe spot. What's your name?" A long pause. Then, Hamada Tuwur, Dunny. Barely a whisper. "Lila. Lila. Wananasunasurnini," he repeated, offering a small smile. "That's a good name." "You heard." She shook her head. A quick, jerky motion. Jack's gaze flicked to her scraped knees, her trembling lips. "Your folks nearby?" Her eyes darted to the woods behind the garage. "Mom's in the car." It crashed. "She's sleeping?" The word hit Jack like a punch. His old instincts flared, the ones he'd buried under years of oil and silence. "Where's the car?" "Lila, Sarabwatan." She pointed a shaky finger toward the dense forest. "Back there." It went off the trail. Jack's stomach twisted. The trails were no place for a car, especially not in spring when mud turned them treacherous. "Okay," he said, forcing calm into his voice. "Let's get you warm first. Then I'll check on your mom." "Sound good." Lila hesitated, then nodded. Jack led her inside, his mind racing. He grabbed a wool blanket from a shelf, draping it over her shoulders. Her fingers, icy and small, clutched the edges. He set a kettle on the burner, stirring cocoa into a chipped mug. When he handed it to her, she held it like it was the only warmth she'd known in days. Her eyes, though, stayed distant, haunted. Jack stepped outside, phone in hand, searching for a signal. Nothing. Crestwood's reception was a cruel joke. He paced to the lot's edge, where sometimes a single bar flickered. Still nothing. Back inside, Lila sipped her cocoa, curled on a worn couch by the wood stove. "How long were you walking?" he asked gently. She shrugged. It was dark, then light. His jaw tightened. If her mother was injured, time was slipping away. He fired up his ancient computer. The internet sluggish but functional, opening Google Maps. He zoomed into the forest behind the shop. No roads, just hunter trails. He dropped a pin where Lila had pointed, labeling it. Possible car crash. Child found. Urgent. In the description, he typed, 8-year-old girl, Lelaway, Nari, claims mother unconscious in vehicle off trail, approximate coordinates, need help ASAP. He hit save. De Winterwood, a long shot in a town forgotten by most. Lila's eyes fluttered shut, the mug still in her lap. Jack watched her, a heaviness settling in his chest. He hadn't had a kid in his space since ever. His life was bolts and solitude. Not this, yet here she was, small and trusting, and something in him stirred. Fear. Yes, fury, but also a fierce need to protect her. By midday, the fog began to lift, sunlight cutting through and thin. Golden streaks. Jack sat on the porch, coffee in hand, glancing at the woods. Lila's words echoed. Mom's sleeping. He'd marked the crash site, but with no signal and the sheriff's office an hour away. It felt like shouting into a void. He couldn't wait. Scribbling a note, back soon. Stay here. He grabbed a first aid kit, a flashlight, and a walkie-talkie, then headed into the forest. The trail was rough, overgrown with roots and mud. Jack moved fast, his breath sharp in the cold air. 40 minutes in, he saw it. Crushed crushed brush, tire marks, and down a ravine. A silver SUV, crumpled against a pine. The driver's door hung open, the windshield shattered. Blood stained the deflated airbag. Jack called, his voice tight. Anyone there? Silence. He climbed down, heart pounding. The back seat was empty, a child's booster seat askew. No sign of Lila's mother. He snapped photos, noted the coordinates, and hurried back. The garage was too quiet when he returned. Panic flared until he saw Lila, crouched by an old toolbox, staring at the trees. Relief flooded him. Warm and heavy. I found the car, he said, kneeling beside her. No one was there, but we'll figure this out. She nodded, her face unreadable. What's your mom's name? A pause. Sarah Vale. Jack's breath caught. The name was unmistakable. Sarah Vale, tech mogul, founder of Vale Dynamics. A name splashed across magazines and news feeds. Rumors of threats against her family had surfaced years ago, and now her daughter was here. To barefoot, in his garage. And you're Lila Vale? She nodded. Barely. Mom says not to tell people. Only if it's safe. Why were you out here? Jack asked, his voice soft. We were going to our cabin. Mom said it was safer than home. But the car slid. She hit her head. I tried to wake her, but... Her voice cracked, and Jack's heart ached. You did good. Lila, he said. I'm proud of you. That night, after canned soup and toast, Lila curled up under a quilt, clutching a stuffed rabbit from the lost and found. Jack sat by the stove, laptop open and nush. Western, searching for news on Sarah Vale. Nothing recent. But an old article mentioned a kidnapping scare. It explained Lila's caution, Sarah's secrecy. His gut churned. If someone was after them, silence might be deliberate. The next morning, a sharp ping from his phone jolted him awake. A signal, faint but real. His map pin had gone through. A text followed. Is this Jack Harper? Homeland Emergency Ops. Confirmed child report. Jack's pulse raced as he replied. Yes. Lila Velling. A Huffers Freyer Wari. The Bindri. Mother. Sarah Vale. In crash. SUV found. Driver missing. The response was immediate. Secure child. ETA 90 minutes. Aerial arrival. Jack glanced at Lila, now awake, rubbing her eyes. Morning. Kid. Is 6 on. Someone's coming to help. Her face brightened, then faltered. Is Mom okay? I hope so, he said, his voice steady despite the knot in his chest. We'll find out soon. They sat outside. Lila on a crate, Jack on the steps. When a low hum grew into a roar, a black helicopter crested the ridge, landing with precision on the gravel lot. Dust swirled as 2 men in suits stepped out, one with an earpiece. The other carrying a case. The taller one approached. Mr. Harper, Tilmar's phone. Agent Kessler, Homeland Security. This is Agent Dunn. We're here for Sarah Vale. Lila clung to Jack's leg. Is she alive? He asked, his voice tight. Yes, Sir Severn, Kessler said. Found 5 hours ago. Unconscious but stable. She's asking for her daughter. Lila's sob broke the air, and Jack knelt, wrapping an arm around her. She's okay. Kid. Your map pin flagged our system. Kessler added, certain names trigger alerts. You saved someone important. Jack shook his head. She's a kid. That's all I needed. The agents exchanged a look. Midzi, Vale wants you to accompany Lila to the hospital. Dunn said, She trusts you. Jack hesitated, then nodded. Let me grab my coat. The helicopter ride was a blur. Lila's head resting against his arm. Jack's chest felt heavy, not with fear, but with something new. Connection. Fragile and real. The hospital was sleek. All glass and hushed corridors. Sarah Vale lay in a private room, her dark hair fanned across the pillow, an oxygen tube in place. Her eyes, sharp despite the bruises, softened when Lila ran to her, burying her face in her mother's arms. Jack lingered by the door, feeling out of place. Sarah's gaze met his. Steady, grateful, mister. She Harper won an amount of writers, she said, her voice hoarse. Stay. He sat watching Lila curl against her mother. The silence was warm, reverent. You found her, Sarah said finally. Kept her safe. She found me, Jack replied. Walked right into my garage. Sarah's eyes glistened. Most wouldn't have cared. Or they'd have called the press. I don't do cameras, Jack said, a faint smile tugging at his lips. We have that in common. She paused, stroking Lila's hair. Do you have kids? No, he said quietly. Never married. Lila talks about you, Sarah said. The cocoa, dessert deworn, the blanket. A scissori one, midterm. She needed kindness. Jack shrugged. That's all it was. It's not a small thing, she said, her voice firm. 2 hours later, Sarah stirred. Before you go, I have an offer. Godera Yurna Cern. Jack frowned. I don't need anything. It's not charity, she said, gesturing to a folder. It's a proposal. A nonprofit, repair shops for veterans, single parents, small towns. I need someone who knows engines and people. Lila trusts you. That means more than any resume. Jack stared at the folder, his throat tight. I'm not built for that. Ms. Bala. Read it, she said softly. When you're ready. Lila stirred. See her. Come visit. Jack. He nodded. I will march to Monsieur your turn. And he meant it. Back in Crestwood, the garage felt different, though nothing had changed. The proposal sat in his pocket, untouched. Jack cleaned, reorganized. Kilsufanarden tried to drown out the new silence. Not peaceful, but hollow when it could be Rani emermas. By afternoon, another helicopter landed. This one green, military-grade a man in a Navy jacket stepped out. Paul Grayson, Office of Civil Response. You did something remarkable. Mr. Harper, I just helped a kid, Jack said, bristling. Most don't. Grayson replied. He handed Jack an envelope and a medallion. Commendation. Quiet. Like you want, and Sarah Vale donated to the fire department in your name. Jack blinked. Stunned. Uriah Russon. That wasn't my idea. Maybe not, Grayson said, but it's where your heart is. He left with a nod. The world needs men like you. That evening, a text arrived. She's better. Asking for cocoa. Essers, Jack smiled. Typing back. Tell her I'll make a cup soon. Another ping. She wants to visit the garage. Jack lit the stove, unfolded the proposal. The Harper Initiative. Repairs with purpose. And read. It was good. Too good for a man like him. Or maybe not. Weeks later, Sarah stood at his garage door. Softer now. Her CEO armor gone. You're up? Jack said. Surprised. Discharged. She said. Had to come back. She glanced around. This place, Lila says it's a castle. Kids see things. Jack said, smiling. They sat with terrible coffee. The stove crackling. Thank you. Surya Berpium, Sarah said. Not just for Lila, for giving her a safe place. You don't owe me, Jack replied. I do nasum, and I want to build something with you. Not just fund it. A real partnership. Jack hesitated. That's a lot for a mechanic. It's about who you are, she said. The world needs more of it. Lila ran in, holding a bag. Donuts. Antanam. I picked yours, Jacku. Extra sprinkles. He crouched, grinning. Best news all day. 6 months later, the garage was transformed. The sign read, Harper Initiative. Repairs with purpose. Tiwasonashwan is so on. No one left behind. Inside, veterans and teens worked side by side, learning. Healing were the Suriyurno. Dapin healing, Sarah won. Now in jeans and boots. Manage grants to manage grants. her sharp edges softened by Crestwood's air. Lila painted a mural, stars, a wrench, Sergio, a heart, and words. Kindness fixes more than machines. That evening, under Edison bulbs, the community gathered. Jack spoke, reluctant but steady. This started with a girl who walked into my garage. She brought purpose. You all did too. We fix cars, but we also fix stories. Thank you for showing up. Applause rose, warm and true. Later, Sarah joined him, cider in hand, still thinking of escaping. Nope, Jack said, clinking her cup. I'm in my turn. The next morning, Lila painted a toolbox. Sarah sorted papers. And Jack watched, coffee in hand. From the hill above town, Crestwood stretched out, quiet, steady, alive. Sarah took his hand. I never expected this, she said. Me neither, Jack replied. But I'm glad it's here. With you. Lila looked up. Best day ever, Jack smiled. It was... Hey. Folks in Ottober such circuit ew or none. If this story warmed your heart, join us at H Stories for more tales that remind us of the power of kindness. Subscribe, date tree, share your thoughts, and tell us where you're watching from. Your support keeps these stories alive. Until next time, take care, and keep the light on.